We'll call the regular meeting in the New Ulm City Council for November 15th, 2016, 5 p.m. to order. First item on the agenda is your consent agenda items. What do you wish?
Motion to approve those.
We got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. Any discussion on any?
I would like to just talk a little bit about the motion to receive the New Ulm Economic Development Authority Annual Financial Report. If we've got a minute, if we can pull that one, or if I can talk about it right now. Right.
Now it's fine.
I just asked, I took a look at the financial report, and I did note that there was a particular finding, and so I asked if we could hear, just what that was and how it occurred and what's being done so it doesn't occur again. So,
Councilors, it was actually just kind of bad timing at the end of the year. We are required to carry 110% of our bank balance in collateral. So we have a letter of credit that normally is enough to support that. What happened was right at the 28th of June, we had a number of very large investments called, and we received our property taxes. So all of a sudden we had all this extra cash. And the new investments that we found to replace those weren't settling until July.
oh, okay.
So we couldn't get the cash out as fast as we were getting it in. So that was what happened. And that's
So it
what
was
caused
really
the
just a
fine.
matter of a week or so where you were in that situation?
Yep, and since then I have created an extra spreadsheet to do with the bank recs each month. So we're tracking that balance and just making sure we're staying within that
Okay.
requirement.
All right, thank you. That was my only question.
I have a question, I guess. August, if our sales tax is substantially down from the last couple of years and everything, if maybe Nicole could touch on that a little bit.
Counselors, when that came through, I did call the state, and it took a while to get through because I wasn't an authorized person on the account yet. But I was able to find out that there was a company in town who, for whatever period of time, had been overpaying their sales tax. So they had gotten a large refund. It was like a $90,000 refund, which the state has slowly been deducting each month from what they send us.
So that is an accurate number
That's
then
odd.
for the,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow.
But next, so
It will
next
slowly
month-
come back up as we repay that out
Okay.
of out of each month.
Periodically, you'll see that when there's a large manufacturer that might even pay sales tax, wait till the project's done, then ask for their refund, and then that shows up. And so sometimes, we have no control over that. That's decisions made by outside people.
There was a capital
project.
capital project
Yeah,
refund.
so
Okay.
that, we've seen that before, so it's nothing new, but it is kind of a big drastic
large,
jump there.
Yeah, because I was just looking at our excess taxes up and, lodging taxes up. And
But it's not a trend type thing,
No.
it's just a,
It's a
One-time.
one-time event that is impacting us.
Any other questions? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 2A, conduct a public hearing to consider a resolution establishing special assessments for the 2015-16 weed, snow and removal and sidewalk replacement charges.
This is a public hearing.
Anybody like to be heard? Seeing none, we have them all in front of us, we know what they are and everything, so entertain a motion.
I'll offer a motion to close the public hearing, waive the reading and establishing special assessments for the 2015-16 weed and snow removal and the sidewalk replacement
I'll second that. I'll
charges.
second that.
We got a motion and a second, motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading, any more discussion?
This isn't any better or worse than it has been in the past.
A
It's
few
it seems
more,
pretty-
maybe,
a
but
few
not-
more, maybe, but some of those sidewalk replacements, I think, were requests. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's why it's a little high, but just the same.
Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 2B, conduct a public hearing to consider a resolution adopting the final assessment rolls for the 2015 alley street and utility street and alley improvements, Group 1. Steve, you have anything you want to touch on
Mr.
that?
President, this is the public hearing for the largest of the 2015 projects. We've sent notices. I think 160 property owners are affected with regard to special assessments. We have approximately 25% of the project cost attributed to special assessments. I have received no written objections with regard to these, so you could open it
Okay.
up for a public hearing.
The public hearing, anybody like to be heard on the assessments?
One at a time, or any
One
of
time,
them?
or you
Any,
wanna-
anybody out there at all that wants to, for any of them? Seeing none?
Not hearing any, I'll offer a motion to close the public hearing. Adopt the final assessment rules for 2015 utility, street, and alley improvements, Group 1.
Second.
We got a motion, a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none? Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 3A, 1 and 2, consider an ordinance amending section 2.99 of the City Code, City of New Ulm relative to schedules and fees. Second reading of ordinance number 16-012, fifth series, and a motion to adopt ordinance number 16-12, fifth series. Roger?
I'll move that we adopt the ordinance, waive the second reading.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to adopt ordinance to waive the second reading. Any more discussion?
Just that this particular item is our fee schedule that we talked about the last meeting, so.
Correct. Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4A, canvass the 2016 municipal general election and declare results of the election. Nicole?
Okay, we had about an 82% voter turnout rate in New Ulm, so that was excellent. As far as the results go, in the contested in Ward 1, David Christian got 880 votes, Jane Mayday Halke got 687 votes, and there were 6 write-ins. And then with the tax question, the sales tax question, there were 5,061 yes votes and 2,213 no votes. The other details are there if, I don't know if you have any other questions on it, or.
Anybody have any questions or concerns?
I'll move to approve the canvass of this year's municipal general election and accept the declaration of the results of the election.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the canvass. Any more discussion?
We have someone who wants to be heard.
Yeah, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Bob Skilling's got a little speech he wants to give us, or something?
Thank you, Mr. President. Honorable Mayor, Mr. President, council members, and staff, I am Bob Skillings and live at 36 Woodland Drive in New Ulm. I was a city council appointed member of the Renew Committee and chair of the Friends of Renew Campaign Committee. Congratulations to you on the success of City Question number 1 on election night just 1 week ago tonight, and by a wide margin with about a 70% yes vote. This is a great outcome for our community, as a tremendous momentum is gathering for continued growth and quality of life in our historic city, especially when we consider the wonderful new improvements in our education systems, the national recognition of our healthy community initiatives, and the job growth and new investments being made in our local industries. Many community members and organizations have been involved in bringing the Renew projects to this point and making sure that the community understands their importance and urgency. Some of those organizations include the Chamber of Commerce, the New Ulm Retail Association, Turner Hall, Herman Monument Society, the New Ulm Soccer Association, New Ulm Softball, New Ulm Baseball, American Legion Baseball, New Ulm Area Gymnastics, CAST, Martin Luther College, the original Renew Committee, the Park and Rec Commission, and the Friends of Renew Committee. We hope this momentum continues as you seek state approval for the sales tax extension. In whatever way we can support your efforts, we are ready, willing, and able. The 2017 legislative session begins January 3rd, and so it won't be long before new bills like New Ulm's will be introduced. The Chamber already has a trip planned to visit the legislature in mid-January, and a lot of Renew supporters are looking forward to promoting our legislation at the Capitol. We understand that there is a trade-off in reserve funds between the old and new sales tax, but that potential increases in interest rates. That potential increases in interest rates and project cost inflation could minimize those differences. The community has voted in large favorable numbers to move forward and keep the positive momentum going. Again, thank you and congratulations to the council for your approval of the Renew projects. These projects will put New Ulm on the map in southern Minnesota and will bring many visitors and increased economic activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much for your work on this project. Thank you.
I guess, when we're talking about this, I guess we should be thinking about what's our next step. Are we gonna be putting this
It's
on
not an
as a-
agenda item, so we can't
Correct.
go too far, but
Well, when the request came in to put it on the ballot, if my memory stands clear, there was a discussion about we're going to put it on the ballot, and then I remember somebody saying, I won't be here, so the new council can make that decision what we do next. And I sensed that the whole city council was, yeah, that sounds reasonable. I didn't hear anybody say, no, we need to, make a decision. So that's the direction that I've been proceeding, was that the deciding on the next step occurs in
just to-
January.
Yeah, you remember that the next step is whether to move, full speed ahead,
Correct.
seek authorization from this legislator, legislation, pay off the bonds early, et cetera, et cetera. And you will get a recommendation from the Park and Rec Commission at your next meeting to move full speed ahead. And perhaps that would be the time to discuss it. So.
Right. Just for a recap, so everybody, is on the same page. Mr. Skillings alluded to it, but the current sales tax goes to 2020, December of 2020. And there's again, the positive movement forward would like to get it to the legislature in 2017, end our current sales tax and begin the new sales tax authorization. The discussion about the money that's being collected over our debt can be collected and put into a reserve fund for roof replacement or parking lot or anything that we used the original money for. Okay, so if you end it early, we don't get to collect that money. There's also a discussion about that you may want to hold or have, and that is, do you want to do everything big bang all of a sudden, or do you want to phase in? We're going to do these projects in the first 2 years, and then we're going to start the next projects, 3 years later. Mankato is doing all of their infrastructure projects right away, and then they're waiting 5 years to do their recreational projects. Now, that might be, something to consider. If you end the current sales tax authorization early, you could still collect, let's say you did half the projects, in the first 2 years, you could still collect some excess money and put that where it needs to go. So, there's decisions that need to be made, and from what I was remembering was that those were decisions for the new council. And so that's how I've been proceeding. Now, if it's
Right.
different than that, if you want to make those decisions in, on December 23rd
That's
or
fine.
whenever you want to do it, that's up to the council. But
you might get some direction at the next meeting when we have it, the Park and Rec is making some recommendations, and
Well, one of the things that we talked about at Park and Rec was the interest rate climate. And, you know, I don't know how closely anybody else watches the bond market or the investment climate. Then recommendations and projections can be wrong, but that's one thing that we discussed. You know, whether we, you know, if you wait for 5 years, it's a big unknown. If you wait for 6 months, it's still an unknown, but it's less of an unknown. That's something that should be considered.
If I may be,
Yes.
Mr. President, one issue that I think the council should probably get some information on is to the extent that I may be involved in drafting any proposed legislation. I don't know if the members of the committee or anyone else has been talking with any particular state legislators about who might introduce this legislation, if it would be our local representatives. I don't know if they or their staff have advised anyone when they would like to receive this. If they think they should be getting something before the session begins, if it can come in during the session. I just don't know anything about the timing of this. But I think the council should be aware of that, depending on how quickly you need to be making some decisions on this session or the next session.
And maybe the lame duck will be voting on it. That
Yeah.
would be me.
You know,
That would
That's
be
the only
me.
reason I brought it up is this, you know, we've had good momentum. I think the community's concerned and, you know, I think it's something we might have to be thinking about here.
I was under the understanding that you know, if Deems and Torkelson were the ones that were going to, you know, introduce and carry it forward, that they in turn would then send it on to the bill makers, you know, at the Capitol, that they actually, you know, actually draw up the language.
I think Hugh
But
drafted.
we don't necessarily do that. We do the question, which we did. We did the question, but once it gets taken to the legislators, that they submit it to the people who actually draw up that bill.
I'm sure they would have someone in their committees, you know, fine tuning the language, but I think we would want to have some input into that. So at least suggest something to
Right.
them that we'd like to see.
We had our legislators at one of the Renew meetings, and they seemed to be supportive and,
Right.
and be willing to help. Do you want me to contact them and do a little research on that?
Say yes.
Yes. Okay. We'll go on, and I think we're done with that one. We'll go on to item 4B. Consider resolution accepting donations from various organizations and individuals to use as a painting of the Welcome to New Ulm sign over the Burdick elevator.
I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading.
I'll second.
We got a motion, a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. I'll just take the time. We have $300 from the New Ulm Chamber of Commerce, $100 from James Kretsch, $100 from Robert Boisman, $100 from Jerry Dunheim, $100 from George Gloschbach, $100 from Jeffrey Golden, $100 from Denny Ward, $100 from Dan and Trudy Baronick, $100 from Ed Portner and Susan Marty, $100 from Carolyn Schmidt, $100 from Bruce Fensky, $100 from the Citizens Bank, and $100 from August Shell Brewing Company. Mary, you got a list to make out.
That's right.
Well, I think Denny took care of the thank yous already.
All right.
Oh, great.
It's a great project, though.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we have a motion, a second to offer resolution, waived reading, no more discussion.
Plus the grant.
Oh, and you might make a note of.
Plus the grant from the Minnesota Community Foundation.
Oh, sorry about that, yep, $2,000 from the grant. All right, Nicole, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 4C, consider motion to approve the mayor appointment of Casey McCoy to the Tree Advisory Commission.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4D, consider resolution regarding the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance trust liability coverage option for the 2017 to not waive the monetary limits of the municipal tort liability established by the Minnesota statute 466.04, accepting liability coverage and limits of 1.5 million from the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, effective January 1st, 2017, authorizing the city manager to execute and waive for on behalf of the city of New Ulm.
I'll offer that resolution, waive the reading.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to offer a resolution, waive the reading. Any discussion? Seeing none? Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries.
Now, certain people did come at about 10 after 5. I'm wondering if they wanted to have us open the public hearing, or,
We can.
We've already voted, though.
well, we've already voted, but,
We don't know.
Are you here for the public hearing?
No.
No?
nope, nobody's interested in the public hearing, all right. Just worried.
All right.
Just worried.
Seeing nothing?
All right, good. We're done.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting